Hi, I'm Kalashian for Live and Invest Overseas, and today we are talking Mexico. Mexico is the most popular expat destination for Americans and Canadians, with about 1.6 million of us living there. Are you looking to retire here? Here's an overview of things that you need to be aware of to make a successful move to or retirement in Mexico, everything from managing taxes to making new friends. So first, let's take a quick look at why anybody might be interested in making a move to Mexico. First of all, this is a super diverse country with everything from deserts to snow-capped mountains to Caribbean beaches with a range of climates to go with each of these different settings. There are major metropolitan zones, traditional indigenous villages, tiny little mountain hamlets, and bustling beach resort places. So Mexico is so geographically and culturally diverse, it really does offer something for just about everyone. And you'll find huge, really strongly connected expat communities, including many retirees, in Puerto Vallarta, Mérida, Mexico City, San Miguel de Allende, Lake Chapala, and Tulum. This is, as I say, a giant country, and it really has never-ending natural beauty, great weather, vibrant culture, and very friendly people. Plus, it's got its two long coastlines, one on the Pacific and the other on the Caribbean, which are obviously two very different bodies of water offering very different kinds of leisure activities or sports activities on either. It's got beautiful beaches that attract people from all over the world, as well as natural wonders like jungles, cenotes, mountains, deserts. It's perfect for nature lovers, yet it's also really rich in history and culture. So if you consider yourself more of a culture enthusiast than a nature enthusiast, Mexico has you covered there too. And this is a land of art, cinema, music, dance, literature, sports, cuisine, plus just endless, countless colorful festivals and other local celebrations that you'll start to get to know once you're actually spending time here. Plus, Mexico is a very practical choice for Americans because it's so easy to reach. The fact that you don't need to cross an ocean or even get on a plane to get to Mexico is a big, big pro for so many people that decide to move here. It's comforting to know, for example, that you could get back to the US quickly if you had a medical emergency or somebody back home in your family or friend circle does. And if you want to keep your access to Medicare or, anything like another global pandemic breaks out, it's reassuring that flight restrictions aren't going to play a part in that, in some cases at least. Finally, Mexico is very popular because it's familiar. Mexico and the US have a shared history and deep cultural ties. The average American is likely very familiar with Mexico's culture, its traditions. There's a lot of cultural crossover between the two countries, from the emphasis on family and love of celebrations to cowboy culture, appreciation for sports. And this familiarity can make a newcomer feel really at home in Mexico very quickly. It even extends to your shopping options in Mexico. Many of the brands and the stores that are available in the US that you're used to are also going to be available in Mexico. So you'll see Walmart, Costco, the Home Depot. Many of the products that the average American shops for are also produced in Mexico, which means that you'll probably get them at a slightly lower cost buying them in Mexico. Being able to buy those same goods, though, that you buy back home is a nice comfort, and it makes the transition much easier. So what are some pros and cons of retiring in Mexico? Every place in the world has cons, drawbacks, downsides. Mexico is no different. So first, I will just reiterate that any country as big and multifaceted as Mexico is going to have both opportunities and challenges. A major pro is the opportunity to lower your cost of living. A lot of services, goods, general expenses, everything from real estate, groceries, meals at restaurants, medical care, and everything in between, it all costs less in Mexico than it does in the US. Plus, the US dollar is typically quite strong against the Mexican peso, which enhances your spending power in Mexico. This country also offers really high quality medical care, particularly at its private facilities. English-speaking doctors aren't hard to find. Facilities are very high quality. A lot of expats will take out private health insurance or just pay out of pocket for medical care as needed. But as I mentioned, Mexico is still close enough to the US that it makes sense to maintain your Medicare and make that quick flight or drive back for treatment if it applies to you. Another pro of retiring in Mexico is the fact that it has such strong expat communities across the country. It can make the process of establishing a social network easier, especially since English is widely spoken through these communities. All of this, plus the warm weather, the natural beauty, incredible beaches, rich cultural connections and ties, amounts to a significant lifestyle upgrade, no matter where in the country you're choosing to settle. One con of retiring to Mexico is that, like like all countries, it has areas that are unsafe and that expats and locals alike will avoid. As a prospective expat, you should definitely research your safety information about the location that you're looking at specifically. Speak to locals, speak to expats about their perceptions of safety and what the reality is versus what you might hear in the news or on forums online, for example. Cultural differences are also going to be the other big adaptation to make here. So the slower pace of life is definitely something that a lot of Americans have to make a conscious effort to adapt to. There is still a strong machismo culture here. It is still a very much more patriarchal society than the US is on a day-to-day basis generally. There's a lot of bureaucracy and red tape, and frankly, this is the same no matter where in the world outside of the US or Canada you're living or moving to. Mexico is actually probably one of the least bureaucratic countries that we talk about at Live and Invest Overseas. Over here in Europe, where I am based, bureaucracy is the number one drawback. In Latin America, it has it's the degrees to which it is annoying are much lower than the degrees to which it is annoying here in Europe. But it's still something that you're probably going to have to adapt to as well. The language barrier is an obvious sticking point for some. If you're not willing to learn a new language, that is going to put up a little bit of a barrier for you, and so on. So these are kind of the givens, the culture shock givens, that if you're struggling with adaptability, flexibility, Mexico might not be the right choice for you. Some other cons are infrastructure issues, power outages, varying road quality, for example, bureaucracy and red tape, as I mentioned, and the potentially overwhelming presence of foreigners in tourist-heavy areas. And before we go on to the next issues that you should consider when thinking about making a move to Mexico, I want to invite you to a one-stop shop event. In a couple of weeks, we'll be gathering a unique group of experts, expats, and retirees who are currently there living in Mexico during our upcoming Live and Invest in Mexico virtual workshop. And you'll hear from all of them during this one-day event. It is a one-of-a-kind online event that will show you how to live or retire in Mexico successfully with as few mistakes as possible. Join the professionals who work here and the expats who live here as we reveal everything you need to consider Mexico and all the best options within it as your new home under the sun. You'll get the inside story on gaining residency, getting healthcare, finding friends, figuring out your taxes, making the move, having fun, finding a home, and so much more. We have condensed what really should take months or more of effort and research and scouting into just a single action-packed day, all from the comfort of your computer or mobile device. Click on that link on the screen to find out more about our Live and Invest in Mexico workshop. So let's look next at how living in Mexico might affect your taxes, retirement investments, social security benefits, etc. So as a U.S. citizen, first of all, you are always going to need to file a U.S. tax return regardless of where you live. So that will not change if you move to Mexico. But you may also need to file taxes in Mexico depending on whether you're considered a tax resident or not. Mexico's policies around tax residency are actually quite lax compared to many other countries. You're only considered a tax resident if you establish your primary home or center of business here, instead of just counting the number of days you spend. So most countries in the world, if you spend more than 183 days in them, you're a tax resident no matter what. That's not necessarily the case in Mexico. So it may be possible to legally avoid becoming a tax resident in Mexico. And as a non-tax resident, you're subject to tax on your Mexican source income only. So unless you're working in Mexico, earning income in Mexico, this won't affect you. And as a tax resident, you would be subject to tax on your worldwide income at rates between 0 and 35%. Much of your income might also be exempt from taxation for various reasons. Mexico, for example, has a tax treaty with the US, which will reduce your risk of paying taxes on the same income twice. If you're eligible to receive Social Security payments in the US, you will also receive them likewise in Mexico. You can make withdrawals from retirement accounts like 401ks, IRAs, but tax obligations will apply to these distributions. So what about the visas? Do you need a visa to live here? You actually may not need a visa to live in Mexico. As an American, you can come into Mexico as a tourist and be allowed to stay for about 6 months. For many expats, this is plenty. They'll either live in Mexico part-time or they'll travel in and out of the country often enough that the allowance refreshes itself regularly and they can just come back and reset that tourist visa. It is also one of the easiest countries in the world to establish residency if you actually do want a formal permanent status here. It doesn't require a criminal criminal background check, which is unique, and you can submit your application yourself at your nearest Mexican consulate without having to use a lawyer. Again, many countries actually do stipulate that you use a lawyer and that you get a background check. So Mexico does make that quite a bit easier. To qualify for permanent residency or temporary residency, you'll have to qualify by proving you've got sufficient financial resources to support yourself. While many other countries will take only passive income into consideration, Mexico will also let you use your savings to qualify for this, which is a huge benefit, and again, something that's pretty rare in the world. The amounts that you have to meet will vary from consulate to consulate. For example, in North Carolina, the Raleigh Embassy wants investment or bank accounts with a monthly average balance of $51,800 per month for the past 12 months, or income from employment or a pension of $3,100 per month for the last 6 months. Again, these will change slightly, and that those numbers are based on the exchange rate as of today, which of course goes up and down with hourly. So check that for yourself at the time that you're looking to make these commitments. You can hold your temporary residency status for 4 years and then convert it to permanent residency, or you can go straight to permanent residency at the outset, skipping over the temporary residency. For permanent residency, you've got to have investments or bank accounts with a monthly average balance of $207,240 per month for the past 12 months, or income from a pension of $5,180 per month for the last 6 months. These thresholds have increased in recent years, and right now they are very high. It does not take that much money to live in Mexico. So the fact that the government is requiring you to show this shows that they're trying to raise the level of income brought into the country, and perhaps discourage some people from getting residency that would be at a lower rate. Many U.S. expats qualify for temporary residency with savings using an IRA or a 401k, and then you can convert to permanent residency after 4 years with no additional income proof needed. Another benefit of residency in Mexico is that it does not require you to stay in the country for any certain number of days per year. Other countries might require you to stay in the country for 180 days per year, for example, in order to maintain your residency status. Mexico has none of that. So who should consider retiring in Mexico? If you're looking for a move abroad, but you don't want to stray too far from home, Mexico is your perfect answer. You can enjoy a more comfortable retirement on a modest budget, bask in warm weather and naturally beautiful surroundings, immerse yourself in culturally rich environments with vibrant art, music, food scenes, connect with strong communities and expat towns. And if you can be flexible and open-minded to a new way of life, Mexico could be your paradise. For more information from Live and Invest Overseas about moving to Mexico, check out our resources at the link on the screen right now. And of course, if you'd like to see more videos like this from me every week, make sure to like and subscribe. Happy trails.